This is a video presentation of Bible 2114, Unit 10B, entitled Joseph. Your speaker is Dr. Roy Hayden. The objective of this lecture is to show how God fulfilled his promise to Abraham and preserved the nation. God takes the actions of men, even though they may seem contrary to his will, and makes them ultimately to serve his purpose. Also, it demonstrates how Egyptian motifs now dominate the text. The sphere of contact is Egypt and not Mesopotamia. As a result of listening to this lecture and reading the material in Genesis 37 through 50, the student should be aware of the following: the continued enmity between Joseph and his brothers, the continued suffering of Jacob, especially in reference to his son Joseph, the place and function of dreams in the ancient Near East, the sterling character of Joseph, a type of Christ, and levirate marriage and its purpose in Hebrew thought. This lecture is centered around the life of Joseph. As has already been indicated in a previous lecture, Joseph was the firstborn son of Rachel, the favorite wife of Jacob. 6 sons had been born to Leah, 2 to Bilhah, Rachel's maid, and 2 to Zilpah, Leah's maid. Because Joseph was a son of Rachel, he held a special place in Jacob's heart. This was especially true after the death of Rachel, who died in childbirth. The text informs us that this happened when Jacob had left Bethel and was on his way south. At Bethel, God appeared to Jacob when he was on his way to Paddan Aram. Here, according to chapter 35, God again affirmed the covenant and changed Jacob's name to Israel. Thus, Bethel marks 2 significant stages in Jacob's life. On the site where he had spoken with him, Jacob set up a stela of stone over which he offered a libation, and he poured oil upon it. And Jacob named the site Bethel, because God had spoken there with him. Jacob left Bethel, and while yet some distance from Ephrath, Rachel gave birth to a son. Her labor was difficult. Her midwife said to her, "Have no anxiety, for you have another boy." As she was dying, Rachel named her son Ben-Oni, which means son of misfortune, or son of my vigor. Jacob, however, called him Benjamin, son of the right, probably meaning one on whom Jacob expects to count heavily for support and comfort. 2 other notes are also present in chapter 35. One has to do with Reuben, the eldest son of Jacob. He had sexual relations with Bilhah, Rachel's maid, and as a result he lost his birthright. The other note concerns the death of Isaac. Before Jacob left for Paddan Aram, Isaac was almost blind and thought he was dying. Now, perhaps 80 years later, he died. He was buried by Jacob and Esau in the cave of Machpelah, the family tomb purchased by Abraham from the Hittites. Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, and Leah were all buried in the cave. After a listing of the descendants of Esau in chapter 36, the biblical text concentrates on Joseph. The story begins in chapter 37. Joseph was 17 years old and was assisting the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah with the sheep. He brought his father bad reports about his brothers.